What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode. In this one, we got another pair of cheaters, guys. We got another couple guys who thought that they were going to cheat in a tournament and get away with it. But just like all these other guys that I've done these videos on, if you cheat, you're going to get caught. And that's what happened to these guys. They got caught, guys. I ain't gonna lie, though. These guys are a little more slick than some of these other guys that I've been doing some of these videos on. They're a little more sneaky with it, a little more slick, you know. They didn't just shove some weights down the throat of some walleye like old Chase Cominsky and Jake Runyan.
We got weights and fish! There we go!
And they didn't trim the tail on a bass like the guy from my last video. No, they were a little more clever with it. I'll give them that. They really were. But they still got caught, guys. Stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. Alright, guys, so these cheaters, this happened down in Alabama on Lake Guntersville, which is one of my favorite freaking lakes to fish for bass of all time, if not my favorite lake to go fishing. I bet you the frog bite is probably on fire down there right now. It's definitely like prime time right now down on Guntersville. Wish I was down there. Might have to make a trip soon. It's been a couple years since I've been down there. But yeah, these guys, right? We got Gary Minor Jr. and Robert Gillespie. I think it's pronounced Gillespie. It could be Gillespie. I'm gonna say Gillespie. I like Gillespie. I think that works. But yeah, these guys were down there fishing a tournament on Lake Guntersville at night. So they were doing night tournaments, Thursday nighters, guys. They'd been fishing them for a while, and people were starting to suspect that they were cheating because they were always showing up with these giant freaking bass. And there was just like some suspicious activity, but because they were using the cover of night out there in the darkness, nobody was really knowing what was going on. They just knew something wasn't right. So somebody tipped off a Marine officer, and they decided to set up a sting operation. And they actually followed them around for a couple weeks of these Thursday nighters. And what they witnessed was Gary Minor Jr. and Robert Gillespie were actually hiding bass they had previously caught. So I don't even know if they caught them from Lake Guntersville. They could have caught them from farm ponds. Who the heck knows? But they're putting them in a giant barrel, and they're hiding them at a specific dock, a private dock, and they were going there right before weigh-in and grabbing these giant bass and taking them to the weigh-in. And that's how they were winning. That's how they were winning, guys. And, you know, they thought they were being all sneaky because they were doing it at night, sneaking around there in the dark, thinking nobody saw them. But because it was at night, they couldn't see all the police boats. Well, probably not all of them. There was probably one, like, you know, police boat, DNR officer who was sneaking back there in the shadows watching them do this, guys. They thought they had it all figured out because, like, they were switching their bass. So they were actually, the bass they actually caught, they were taking to the dock and they were switching them. They were taking the bigger ones. So, like, if they were trying to be so slick with it. They were trying to be so slick. But they got caught, guys. Like everybody else, you cheat, you gonna get caught. So, yeah, basically, they go out there, they take these fish, they go to the weigh-in. Had no idea anyone had been watching them. They get confronted at the weigh-in by the police, and they just cave. Like a lot of these other guys, they just cave right away, pretty much admit to everything. And they get arrested. So they get arrested, and they're actually charged a misdemeanor, which a lot of these guys have been getting charged with felonies. These guys were charged with a misdemeanor, but what's interesting about this is it was a misdemeanor, but they actually end up doing jail time over this misdemeanor. But yeah, they were charged with tampering with a sporting contest, which, like I said, is a misdemeanor. And they were sentenced to 1 year in jail, guys. 1 freaking year in jail for a misdemeanor for cheating at a bass tournament. And it's not even a big bass tournament. This was like a local club event. Like, I don't even know if it was a club. It was just like guys who fish on Thursday. Like, this was not like a big event. There couldn't have been, the payout could not have been more than $1,000. Probably just a couple hundred. But they have been doing this for some time, so who knows how much money they ended up getting away with. But yeah, so it was 1 year sentence to jail, but it was a suspended sentence. They ended up only having to serve 30 days. Isn't too bad, but they still went to jail. None of these other guys have gone to jail. These guys actually had to go to jail for 30 days. They also had to complete 400 hours of community service at Lake Guntersville State Park, which is very fitting for the crime. And I love Lake Guntersville State Park, by the way. I've actually stayed at the campground there. Beautiful place. And they both had to pay $1,000 in fines, roughly another $1,000 in court costs. Their bail was actually set at $5,000 a piece, or their bond was. So they had to pay $5,000 to get out on bond. But one of the conditions of their bond was they had to forfeit their hunting and fishing privileges. I don't know if that's indefinitely. I'm assuming it is. So they're no longer allowed to fish or hunt. So these guys freaking, like, even though they thought they were clever, and even though it kind of was, like, they were definitely a little more sneaky, like a little more elaborate, and they had thought things through a little more than some of the other guys, but they definitely didn't they didn't weigh the risk versus reward, because like I said, this was just like a little local tournament. Payout was probably just a few $100s. And they ended up paying $5,000 for their bond, $1,000 fine, and then all their court costs, roughly around the total of like $7,000. They risked everything for a couple $100 and ended up having to go to jail, 30 days in jail, 400 hours community service. That's a lot of freaking hours. Like 400 hours? Holy crap. How many days is that? If you're doing 10-hour days, that's 40 days. They're probably not doing. They're probably doing 8-hour days. That's crazy. It's probably like 50 days or something. 50 days community service. Oh my gosh. And then they had to pay like all these other fines. It ended up being like $7,000. And it was locked up for 30 days because they just to try to win, like try to look cool in front of your buddies. That's crazy. How embarrassing would it be at the weigh-in when everyone kind of knows you're cheating? But you probably had some friends there too. Like there's some people didn't want to believe it. Then you show up and they just get you and you just break down and admit to everything and get arrested for cheating in a tournament. Oh my goodness. These guys are crazy. Yo, check out their mugshots though. Like these guys, they really like they look like somebody. I'm not trying to stereotype, but they really look like somebody who would try to pull something like this off, man. What's crazy though is like there's so many people out there that cheated. Like there's so many cheaters out there that have cheated in bass tournaments and stuff. A lot of it gets brushed under the rug a little bit, but like there's like literally hundreds of them. You guys are commenting on all these videos talking about other cheaters and stuff. I really appreciate that, guys. There's so many. There's been like hundreds of them. And what's crazy is, you know, like there's a lot that aren't getting caught probably. They're just getting away with it. And there's definitely a lot that, you know, people just kind of like brush under the rug. There's probably a lot that are like they're building investigations on and stuff. Bottom line is though, if you cheated at a bass tournament, there's a good chance you're gonna get caught. You know, I'm making these videos trying to deter people away from doing this stuff. It ain't worth it too. It ain't worth it. Cheating ain't worth it. It's wild. Like, you know, it's so weird that people will do this. Some of it, I don't even think it's for the money. I think some of them just want to feel like the man. You know, deep down, no, there's no way they do. They know they're a cheater. It seems like these guys, doesn't seem like they got a lawyer or nothing, because they kind of, honestly, for a misdemeanor charge, they kind of got the book thrown at them. Like, they actually had to go to jail for 30 days. Some of these guys getting felonies, like, are just walking away with, like, a couple years, like, no fishing or something. These guys got hit pretty hard. They do not play down in Alabama, guys. You cheat, they gonna throw the book at you. But yeah, guys, comment below. Let me know who you want me to do a video on next. I'm gonna keep trying to bring this content to you guys. You guys seem to enjoy it, and like I said, I'm just trying to get the information out there to try and stop all these cheaters, man. People need to stop cheating, and they need to know that if you cheat, you're gonna get caught. But alright guys, that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time.
We got weights and fish! There we go!